All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to MC Show Digital, the digital product of the Manchild Show with Boy Green. I got a very special guest today, and there's some big news brewing in the NFL, so it's very appropriate that we talk to him today. He's the play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He does a lot of other stuff in Pittsburgh, too, covers the Pirates, all kinds of things, and a lot of you Central New Yorkers might recognize him. He was once the sports director at good old WTVH5 right here in Syracuse. That's where I got to meet him. Let's talk to Rob King. Hey, Rob, how you doing, buddy?
Jim, great to see you, and I love to see the Steelers shirt too as well, my friend. Good
I'm
stuff.
wearing the laundry for you today, my friend. We were talking a little bit before the interview, and I was saying my son went to school in Pittsburgh. I have fell in love with that city. My son went to Carnegie Mellon University, which is right, adjunct or right adjacent to Pitt. I know you've covered the Panthers as well. Have you ever covered any Carnegie Mellon sports before you became this great voice of the Steelers?
Well, the first time I was ever in Pittsburgh, other than flying through on my way to St. Louis, Washington University, where I went to school, we played Carnegie Mellon in football. So that was the first time I was
Mm.
ever here. And we went, and there's a couple thousand people at the game, but we went during a Pitt Penn State game. So we're driving through Oakland, and I remember you could feel the energy through the bus.
Yes.
Pitt Penn State's a big deal, and it was really a great experience. It was my introduction to Pittsburgh. And then, a dozen years later, I was living there, and I've been here for 25 years. It's a great city. Absolutely love the city. Good for him going to Carnegie Mellon. Great education.
Yes.
Great way to start things off. So good for him.
Yeah, he's a working class engineer in Queens, New York now, man, making more money than I think I made my fifth job, Rob. So
Yeah.
good money in the world of engineering, and it is a terrific institution there, Carnegie Mellon. All right, let's talk about your mainstay here. Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, huge news this weekend about Aaron Rodgers joining the Steelers as their quarterback. Boy, this thing's been out in the media for a while. Are you relieved as a guy that covers the Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, what are your thoughts initially about Rodgers becoming the starting quarterback, at least for a season here in Pittsburgh?
You know what? I kind of assumed it was going to happen. I didn't know. I didn't have any inside information. Nobody told me, but it just seemed like there was a lot of smoke to not have some fire like you have in the corner with that football right there. I like that. A little on fire football, Jim. Very nice. So,
Yes.
I just felt like it was going to happen, and I'm looking forward to it for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be a fun national story. You can either look at these things as, oh my gosh, it's too much, it's overwhelming. You can enjoy it for the fun that it is. I'm always in the latter camp. I'm enjoying it for the fun that it is, and I think he's still got good football in him. To me, in his prime, he's the best thrower of a football I've ever seen in my life. I just think back foot, front foot, left, right, moving forward, retreating, standing in the pocket, touch, firing. I've never seen anybody that's got all the throws like Aaron Rodgers. And I think there's still something in the tank. I mean, I think last year down the stretch with the Jets, it was 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions or so. The Jets weren't winning football games, but I think he's still got something there. So I'm really eager and interested to watch him play. And I can't wait to get down for the mini camp this week and the mandatory mini camp and see what it's all about. See it start its way.
Was it your dream, Rob, to become the play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, we've talked to Bill Hillgrove for years on our radio show right here in Central New York, that booming voice, and now
Yeah.
that booming voice is you. I mean, how kind of cool and where was this on your dream scale in terms of actually becoming play-by-play voice of an NFL team like the Steelers?
It's interesting, Jim. I don't know how to answer that. Bill Hillgrove, wonderful guy and just a tremendous set of pipes. Man, what a voice Bill
Yeah.
Hillgrove has, and a great guy. And he's still doing pit stuff, so that's good. It's good for fans here to hear him. He just wanted to step back. He was getting too busy. I don't know. I guess it got on my radar a few years ago that it might be possible if Bill ever decided to retire that I might have at least a chance of doing it.
Hmm.
But I'm one of those people. I don't want to think about too much. First of all, I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I've got and have had a tremendous job for the last 25 years doing the Pirates pre and post game show, the Penguins pre and post game shows, producing historical specials, doing play by play of high school football, of Pitt football and basketball, filling in for Bill, West Virginia. It's been just so much fun, and the variety's been marvelous. So I guess kind of like TV itself. Like I never really dreamed about being on TV. It just sort of happened. And I think there's something of that quality to it that, yes, I guess in the back of your mind, you think, boy, wouldn't that be wonderful one day? But more or less it just sort of evolved through what's been a wonderful and very fun career for me.
What's the relationship like, as the play-by-play voice with the Steelers players? Is it a little bit of a different connection from when you covered the Steelers in the past in terms of your access and things of that nature?
Probably a little bit. Yeah, probably a little bit, Jim. It's a good question. I think that, and I've told this to people, really, when you're in broadcasting, your immediate team is the guys with you, the engineer in the booth, the producer, your color guy, the sideline person. Those are the people that you're most close knit with, and these are young men, terrific players, terrific athletes. I marvel at what they're able to do, but they're young men in a different place in their life. So my relationship has always been, and I always want it to be professional. So hopefully we have a rapport, and hopefully if I'm the voice of the Steelers or if I'm the studio host of the Pittsburgh Pirates, as opposed to a different branch of the media, that will engender some more trust. I can get some more information that will help me be better at my job. Just keeping the relationships cordial and professional is what I've always tried to do. So I think that the relationship would be different a little bit professionally, but personally, I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different.
How you feel about the Steelers this upcoming season? Sans Rodgers, we could put it
Yeah.
on the side a minute, and let's talk about this team as a whole. I mean, what Mike Tomlin has done is incredible to have all these winning seasons to get this team back to the playoffs. But we also know that those Pittsburghers, they want a winner every year. They want to be contending for championships. Give me your sense of what you think the Steelers will be this season.
Well, I think you hit the nail right in the head. 21 consecutive non-losing seasons ties a record from the Cowboys back in the 60s, the mid-60s to the mid-80s. It's very, very difficult to do. And, I think fans in Pittsburgh want more. The organization wants more. They want to advance deep into the playoffs. They made a habit of winning Super Bowls, and it's just not that easy to win a Super Bowl. Everybody's trying to do the same thing. I think what they've done is incredible. And, when we see inevitably most teams, look at New England, for example, they're going through a little bit of a down cycle. I don't know how long the down cycle is going to last, but
Right.
It's been a couple of years since they parted ways with Tom Brady, because it's hard to win when you're constantly drafting towards the end of the draft, when you no longer have a franchise quarterback. Well, it's been a while since Ben Roethlisberger retired, a while since he had his elbow surgery even prior to his retirement. The Steelers have still maintained a way to be competitive. I think in the last couple of years, and that's Kevin Colbert as the general manager, that's Mike Tomlin as the coach, Bill Cowher as the coach before that. I think that what Omar Khan has done as a general manager is, inevitably there's going to be some drain on your roster. Again, look around at all the teams that have been good. Inevitably, they go through a valley period. Well, I think they've patched that quote unquote valley period up pretty darn quickly. I think they've built a very deep, very competitive roster. I do think they probably are in the market for another wide receiver. If I were to guess, that was something that they wanted to do last year. And when they picked up DK Metcalf, but they traded George Pickens. So I think they're probably in a similar situation. My guess would be they'll look for another receiver. But I think it's a roster that, when I think of their team 2 years ago going up to Buffalo in that playoff game, they didn't really have much chance. They were outclassed. They were a team that was capable of getting to the playoffs, but not quite capable of competing with and beating the elite teams, at least on a consistent basis. Last year, they beat the Ravens. They beat the Commanders. They had the stretch of 5 straight games down the stretch in which they didn't measure up. That's it. You look at the win-loss record. This is not a judgment on my part. They didn't win those games, but they were competitive in every one of those games. Yeah. They had opportunities to win those games. So I think now with another off season, 3 of their draft picks virtually didn't play last year, including their first rounder, Troy Fautanu at right tackle. I think it's a roster that's getting closer to being able to go toe to toe with the big boys in the AFC.
You a Tomlin fan? I know you're a fan of everyone when you're the play-by-play voice of the
Yeah.
Steelers. What do you think of Mike Tomlin and the job that he's done?
I think it's remarkable. I think fans don't understand how difficult it is. I have lots of friends from upstate New York who are huge Buffalo Bills fans, and I think that they've done a phenomenal job. I think Sean McDermott is a great coach. I think they've got a great organization going.
And he's got some of the same rumblings as Tomlin,
right.
like
they got Josh Allen
Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. I mean, they have Josh Allen at quarterback, and but they had to go through 20 consecutive losing seasons. 20 straight losing seasons, I think it was, right? 2 decades. That's a long way to go with no chance as a football team. Mike Tomlin, and the Steelers organization, the Rooney ownership. Again, it was Kevin Colbert. Now it's Omar Khan. It's a very much of a check your ego at the door type of organization. And to be able to do what they've done, I just think it's incredibly remarkable. There's a reason it's only been done once in NFL history, and it's because it's very, very difficult to do. When you start drafting 21, 22, 24, 28, it becomes very difficult to remain competitive. And the Steelers have done that, and I think a lot of that credit goes to Mike Tomlin. It's a pretty remarkable job that he's done, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't understand the criticisms, although I understand you want to win championships. We all do. We all want to win
Right.
championships. The Knicks want to win a championship. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. I'm like, why are they firing their coach? The
Yeah.
guy has got up to 2 straight 50-win seasons. It never makes any sense to me. And you know that if Tomlin were out there on the market, he'd get scooped up in a second. So I
Yeah.
think the Steelers would be remiss to let him go. Football is so much about roster, but he has really built an amazing culture in Pittsburgh, and I wouldn't let go of that
Well,
ever.
and listen, I went through this when I was in Syracuse, Jim Boeheim,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
good
Jim
example.
he can't win it. And this guy's rolling to Sweet 16s. You're Syracuse, you don't have a recruiting backyard, right? It's not like you're churning out NBA players out of all the high schools in
Right.
Syracuse. To be able to do what he did, Paul Pasqualoni heard those rumblings when he was doing a great
Good
job
point.
in getting the team to
Mhm.
to championships and to major bowls and that sort of thing. I just think it's the nature of fandom, Jim, that you're going to see your own warts the clearest. It's like when you
Yep.
look in the mirror, right? Oh, I got a pimple there. Well, the average person doesn't see it, but you see it because it's up close.
Right.
That's just the way fandom is. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And the
Yep.
Steelers wouldn't have it any other way. They're getting their criticism. You know what? The last thing you want is apathy.
Right. Quiet.
When people don't care, that's when you've got problems.
Noise is always good. I agree, Rob.
Right?
You never want apathy. And we experienced some of that in Syracuse at times with that football team when it went really bad after Pasqualoni was let go. The other side isn't always green. The grass isn't always
No,
greener with the
that's right.
next guy, and there's something about winning and building a winning culture. And I think Tomlin has done a tremendous job of that in Pittsburgh. Hey, real quick, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I know you cover the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's some interesting things going on with the Pirates. Not a lot of wins, but they have Paul Skeens, they have O'Neal Cruz. There are some really cool players on this Pirates squad. Maybe you could just give me a quick little, the state of the Pirates.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a year they broke through, and it looks like I was a year early. I do think that they've got a lot of talent, and Paul Skeens, I've never seen anybody like him, Jim. I am not
Remarkable.
a person prone to hyperbole. I've never seen a pitcher like Paul Skeens in my life ever. They got a young man, the second-ranked prospect in baseball named Bubba Chandler. He's a pitcher. He'll come up at some point. He's got his fastball might even be better than Skeens.
Wow.
Now, Skeens got 6 other pitches, but
Mhm.
Bubba's got a tremendous changeup, workable, certainly quality breaking stuff. And so, you got O'Neal Cruz, you've got Brian Reynolds, you got a lot of the elements in place to be a winning team, and they just got off to a really bad start. Some of those young guys are in the minors. They're up now or they're arriving now. I think it's going to be a really interesting team. They're as we're taping this, they're 14-14 under manager Don Kelly. So maybe starting a new direction, a new energy as far as that's concerned. I still think that they still got some injuries in the pitching staff, guys that are going to be coming back. Johan Oviedo, Carmen Majinski's a guy that I think is going to help this team. He's down in the minors now. Bubba Chandler. There's still some guys that are going to be joined to this team. I would not be surprised, Jim, if at the end of the year the team is 13 games under 500. If they were much closer to 500, and teams that were contending in September are saying to themselves, man, I do not want to play the Pirates right now. I'm fighting for a playoff spot. I think that's their trajectory. I thought it was going to happen this year, but I would like to see those pieces fall in place so that at the latter half of this season, they're a team that suddenly everybody's taking notice and saying, hey, watch out for the Pirates in 26.
All right, last topic I want to hit up with you is off the beaten trail a little bit, but you've been off the beaten trail because you have been a closet writer and
Yeah,
you wrote a book. I'm going to pop it up here on the screen for everybody to see.
there
It's
it
called The
is.
Door in the Stone by Rob.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the Rob King. When did you become a writer? Have you always had a passion for this? And tell us a little bit about this book that you put out.
So the book is the first of a fantasy trilogy. The second book should be coming out, I think, this fall. I'm kind of working on it and dusting up. It's been through a couple edits. Um, so I've kind of written a little bit. I was an English literature major in college, and over the years, people have said to me, "Oh, I think you ought to write." I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what about me that people said, "Hey, I think you'd be a good writer." So now it took me a long time to write this book because maybe being a writer in TV or print is very different than trying to write a novel. Very, very different. I tell people in journalism, you say he was tired and he sat down.
Yeah.
You have to write in a book. It's he staggered across the room on heavy legs and threw himself into the chair. Right? It's just a
Right.
different kind of writing. But
Yes.
I tried stuff and nothing really ever clicked. And a friend of mine suggested that I write for a younger audience, and it rang true. And when I started writing, Jim, I couldn't stop.
Wow.
I just absolutely love doing it. I will say, I've been a lifelong reader. I love to read, and it was this age. So, when I was in fourth, fifth grade, I grew up in the age, Jim, and I think we're probably similar. You're either outside playing, but if you're
Yeah.
inside, TV's not going on, right?
Right.
And of course, we didn't have computers, so you read. And I remember I read every sports book I could get my hands on and the Hardy Boys. And I had a teacher that was like, "Okay, obviously you love to read. I don't need to see another book report on the Hardy Boys." And so at that point, we were reading a fantasy book by a guy named Lloyd Alexander, and I really loved the book, and I loved the books that followed. And then next thing I know, I'm reading the Narnia Chronicles, and I'm reading J.R.R. Tolkien. And it's not like I'm only a fantasy reader, but I do enjoy the genre. But now when I turned 50 a few years ago, my family got for me those Lloyd Alexander books and the C.S. Lewis books because they're still important books to me. They
Right.
kind of changed the way I read, and I mean, I don't want to sound like a zealot, but I kind of am. Like, kids should be reading. I
Yes.
think they're missing out on something by not reading. I really do. You play a computer game, and I'm not trying to say anything about computer games. You play a computer game, you play it, and it's over, right? You read a book, you carry that with you. You're thinking about the characters. They're planting thoughts and ideas in your mind and giving you ways of feeling and other things that you're not getting from other outlets. I'm really passionate that I want kids to read. So in a lot of ways, I mean, girls reading middle school books is not really an issue. I mean, they're still reading, but boys have really lagged behind. And I think this is the kind of book that I would have liked when I was a kid, when I was in fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. And hopefully kids will feel that same way too. And of course, you can buy it on Amazon. I had to get that plug in,
I was
Jim,
going to
right?
say, let me pop
Yeah,
it up there.
yeah,
Tell people how they can get it.
yeah.
Amazon.
On
Nowadays,
Amazon,
it's so
that's
easy
the
to get
best place
stuff
to
on
go.
the internet now. You can have it in a
Yeah,
day.
yeah, and as you know, Jim, I've been really busy, and I wanted to make sure that this is something I was going to be passionate about, and I am. I wanted to make sure it was good, so I sent it out for reviews and had it. And I didn't want to put out anything that wasn't going to be that I didn't think was going to be good and had my name attached to it. So it's been vetted by that. Joe Green, you can see right there in the corner. Knockoff. That's a
75,
knockoff
baby. I
Steelers
see it.
75 jersey. I couldn't go official. I don't want to. I don't want to get in
Yes.
trouble.
No
But
copyright infringements. Yes.
yeah, I don't want any copyright infringements. But so lots of fun doing it. Thank you for mentioning it. It's been a passion project of mine, and I've loved doing it, and I'm enjoying writing the second one, and I know I'm going to enjoy writing the third one as well.
All right. Well, that's tremendous, and that's a lot of fun. And there's two more coming. Oh my God!
Two
So it's
more
a whole
coming. Yep.
whole series. And you said it's for younger audiences. What would you say the age that you're shooting for
I,
when you
I
write
think
these?
I think middle grade, but I think good. So middle school, five, sometimes it's 6, 7, 8, sometimes it's 5, 6, 7. I
Right.
think somewhere in that range is probably about right. That would probably be the sweet spot.
All
And
right.
and I hope that again, to me, that's an important time for kids to be reading that age. So hopefully they would enjoy something like this and get behind it and get into it.
All right. Well,
And I was
folks.
going to say, I'm sorry. The one thing I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought there.
That's
But I
okay.
mean, like, if you think about like the first Harry Potter books, I don't know if you wrote those, but that's a middle grade audience.
Right.
The Rick Riordan books, his character, whose name is escaping me right now, but those are made for middle graders. But if you read them with your kids, you enjoy them. I really want that was
True.
important for me to have parents enjoy them too. And frankly, most of the feedback I've gotten so far has been from parents. It's just starting to get into the hands of middle grade readers now, and the parents have loved it. So the reviews have been great. So it's been a blast. It's been great.
All right. See that? You're going old school. We're going new school with this MC show
Yeah, how
digital
about
thing,
this?
man. It's fantastic. But it's just great to see you. It's great to interact with people in this very direct way. I'm so used to doing radio all these years,
Yeah,
23 years and counting here in Syracuse, Rob, doing radio after I had a brief career in TV like yourself. And, it's there's something about seeing people and interacting with people in a very direct way where you get to see them face to face. I always enjoy when we have our guests in studio, and
yeah.
you get that natural reaction. So it's just great to see you. Thanks for remembering your roots. I know people in Central New York are clearly going to watch this video and get something out of it. And it's always just great to follow the careers of people who started or had a piece of this history here in Central New York. You're certainly one of them. You've always been a gentleman. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today.
Anytime, Jim. Enjoyed having you on, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
That's right. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. Thank you, Rob. Great to see you. There is Rob King, play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers.